Biggest money mistake. My last boyfriend, he was a money-sucking leech. Okay, that's probably not for me to comment on. I asked on our Facebook group and on our Instagram page what people's silliest money mistakes were, and we got more than 900 different responses. And I think it's really important that before we share anybody else's silliest money mistakes, we actually share mine. So, I don't know if dumbest is the best word, but the silliest money mistake I ever made was to get a personal loan while I was at university to pay for a overseas trip that I justified incredibly well to myself because it was for a university exchange program and I had got a scholarship. Whilst it wasn't a full scholarship, it was a part scholarship, and like obviously I need to supplement that because like if it's a discount. Anyway, I think that it's one of those things that I do really regret, but at the same time I really learned a lot about myself and, you know, about financial literacy through that process. And whilst I wish that I never got that personal loan, I also know that I learned a lot through the process of having a personal loan, and now I'm in a position where I just don't want anybody else to get in that much personal debt ever again.
If we're being honest, where did the majority of that money end up?
If I'm being honest, I was young and I was in Europe, and a majority of that money was spent having a very good time in Europe. Well, welcome, European wineries. We definitely did a lot of drinking and going out and eating a lot of cheese because it was the south of France, and that is so rude if you don't eat a lot of cheese while you're in France. I also spent I would say a significant amount. Bailey, that's not even your food. And we're back. I'm so lame. The first one is, got a credit card when I was 19 because I had a friend who said I needed one to build credit history. That is so common. That is something that so many people assume, especially in Australia. It is such an American frame of mind to assume that we need a line of credit to establish a credit history, and that's actually not true. We actually need to make sure that we are not getting ourselves into debt, not paying our bills on time, but a credit card does not help you get a good credit history, so do not fall into that. If your friend's uncle's dad's friend told you that you need to get a credit card to get a good credit card score, it's absolute junk. I forgot about exchange rates. When I bought a dress, it was twice as much, and I didn't realize until I got the invoice in my email. I think I've done that before too, except it was when I had ordered something online and I completely forgot that because it was coming from overseas, there were taxes that were applicable, and they were about half the value of the actual package I'd ordered, and that sucked because I couldn't cancel the order because it had already made it to Australia, and it was Australian customs hounding me to get the package out of customs. So yeah, money fail from me. I got a Nimble loan for $2,000, paying back $1,000 more in interest. That's insane. And I think it's something that so many of our community have spoken about, because I have so many messages in my inbox of people who have payday loans. And if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to our Payday Loans podcast because we savage them, and I don't rate that type of business. I got a $15,000 loan as a student to buy a boat because my ex asked me to. What student needs a boat? Okay.
A marine biology student.
Yeah, maybe they're a marine biologist, or like they're gonna go do scuba or something, or maybe start a chartered fishing company. I dropped my car off to get serviced, and instead of hiring a car or getting an Uber, I decided I would walk the 5 kilometers home and save $13. Okay, so far so good. It was a really hot day and the sun was in my face. At about the 2 kilometer mark, I saw a BCF and bought a hat and a bottle of water for $35. BCF is like boating, camping, fishing, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. When my partner and I got home that evening, I was proudly boasting about how I walked home and saved money on an Uber. He then saw my new hat and started laughing. That's when I clicked that it probably would have been better for me to get an Uber. Oh well, at least I got some exercise. Do you know what? That was all about intent. I really like that they, you know, got some exercise and spent $35. honestly on a hat you're probably never gonna wear again. Is there anything good at boating, camping, fishing that doesn't look like something my dad would be into? I pulled cash out of my bank and changed my super around because my conspiracy theory friend convinced me that banks would steal it. Was your friend a financial advisor or a colourful word? When I was a teenager, I maxed out my credit card, she says it's only a $500 one, on a dress I wore once. That was when I started listening to the podcast, realizing I have no clue what is up. I love that. But also, I'm really glad that it was only a $500 credit card because I know a lot of people who have maxed out credit cards to the tune of $20, $30, $40, $50, even $150,000. And that's a harder situation to get out of than $500. So I'm glad you know maybe what's up now.
Why is it important that we talk about and embrace our mistakes instead of being embarrassed about it and not talk about it?
Because we feel really bad about our money mistakes often and we catastrophize. Like, we are humans, we blow things out of proportion. That's why everything seems worse at 3 a.m. Like, because we're alone with our own thoughts. And I think that it's really important to start talking about silly things that we've done and money mistakes that we might have made. Because one, we've learned something if we are able to say, well, that was a mistake, because we've been able to identify that maybe we wouldn't do it again. But then two, I think sharing it gives other people permission to feel comfortable with the mistakes or the things that they regret about money decisions that they've made. And we all have them, we've all done these things, and that's why I'm so comfortable to say, yeah, I got a personal loan and I really wish I hadn't. And I mean, if we go deeper into it, you know, there are a number of like even smaller money things that I wish I'd never done, like lending money to friends or spending too much money on Uber Eats during the work week, and just things that are so silly that we know that really add up. But in the grand scheme of things, if I talk about those, I hope that that gives you permission to talk about those with your friends or your family, or even just, you know, having this conversation with me right now means that, you know, you can feel a little bit more comfortable about the decisions you've made about money, but also be really excited about the opportunity that you have in the future to make better money decisions, because we are more educated and we're more empowered and we know that these choices are positive for us. My money loss was doing a dodgy diploma of graphic design, and I got myself in $18,000 worth of HEX debt and then changed career after 9 months. Okay, well, I've spoken about this on the podcast before. Like, if you are not passionate about your degree, do not go and get yourself in HEX debt. I talk about good, bad, and okay debt all the time, and I do classify personally HEX debt as an okay debt to have. It's not okay if it's not constructive to your future career or the goals you're trying to achieve. So maybe don't go get a graphics design degree if you don't want to work in graphics design. Oh, that's our Uber Eats.
You just said about ordering Uber Eats on work now.
Oh my gosh! That's because you're here. Uber Eats.
It's like those ads where it just appears. Ding dong.
Oh my gosh. Also, I'd really like to point out that Stephanie is not my partner, Stephen is, and they might have gotten that a little bit wrong. But that's okay. Let's take a break for some lunch. Getting a Lombard finance credit card for a couch took me years to get rid of it. I actually ended up borrowing money off my parents to pay it off so that I wasn't paying the interest. For those of you who don't know what a Lombard credit card is, it's a very high interest rate credit card that you get for often asset finance, and they end up stinging you in the bottom very significantly. Attending a Success Resources motivational event day that I got invited to go to, then spending $4,000 on a once-in-a-lifetime, quote, opportunity to be a part of a 2-day seminar a few months later. High-level sales pitches are never a good idea. Went to this day thinking nothing of it, but came home with a credit card bill of $4,000 that had to be paid using all my savings that I had at the time. Worst decision ever. Those seminars are literally the worst, honestly. I work in finance, obviously. I don't know if you guys knew that, shock horror, but I have been to a number of like workshops and like seminars to be a little bit of a creep and see what the industry's up to. And I went to a Rich Dad, Poor Dad seminar and it was horrific. I ended up walking out halfway through because they were trying to get people to sign up to these courses to help them, you know, become really rich and teach them what they were doing. It was a nightmare. It was so expensive and it was a right roar.
Is there such thing as an opportunity of a lifetime that's only available today?
Yes, have I got a deal for you? Okay, you're at the best part of the video. If you subscribe now.
I mean, subscribe.
Yeah, I mean subscribe, but like not because you can get rich quick. I think that you know, there are lots of stories floating around the world and the industry of people getting really rich really quick off things, and if anyone tries to convince you that that was anything but luck, they've got rocks in their head. Like, good investment strategy is a long-term consistent investment strategy, and we always hear about the ways people have made money, not about, you know, future ways that are actually sustainable. And I think that it's really important to, you know, swallow everything with a bit of a grain of salt. Look out, a cross currency.
Took out.
Okay, well, maybe learn to spell before putting something in, because otherwise I look like a nimwit trying to read it.
Tell it to your commenters. I just copied and pasted it.
This is not fair. I want to look like a nimwit. I paid $3,000 for my wedding dress and I had it fitted to me. 2 weeks later, I found a dress for $200 that I liked more and would have been totally suitable. Again, put some time between you and your big money decisions. But in saying that, like, if you felt really beautiful in that dress and it was in your budget and it was aligned to your goals, like, is that really a money loss? I don't know. Thank you so much for sharing all of your money stories with me for the purpose of the... Thank you so much for everyone who shared their silliest money mistakes. If you didn't share yours with me on Facebook or Instagram, I would love it if you commented it below and hit the subscribe button to stay in contact with us while we create and throw out a whole heap more content. Am I good at YouTube?